Welcome back, people. Yeah, sorry, I just had to unmute us there. Welcome back to another episode of The Dirty. I'm with Steve, all the way from Australia today. This poor dad has gone through alienation for the past 12 years. Am I right, Steve?
Yeah,
All right.
well, 11 years.
Today you're going to tell us your story about how they managed to do that to you with a whole lot of false accusations. Right? It's coming up. Welcome to the Pain SA podcast, where we discuss the devastating and long lasting effects resulting from parental alienation. I'm your host, Dominic Charles, and I have been alienated from my daughter on and off for almost 12 years, and I've had no access or contact with my daughter since August 2021. The aim of this show is to create awareness, influence change in the legal system, and reunite fathers with their children. Please note that the users of all parental alienation intervention network South Africa, hereby known as Pain SA, and all its subsequent media platforms, affiliated groups, projects, companies, take no responsibility or risk for the use of Pain SA and related media entities such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all subsequent similar related media platforms used by Pain SA. We accept no responsibility or liability for any views or related topics, verbally, written, or otherwise, by users on Pain SA's media and or other platforms or entities as mentioned herein. We accept no responsibility, liability for any views expressed or actions taken by users of the Pain SA group, its affiliates, or platforms of expression. We accept no responsibility or liability to any person as a consequence of any reliance upon the information given on the site. Under no circumstances, including negligence, shall anyone involved in creating or maintaining Pain SA working content and maintenance therefore be liable for any direct or indirect damages from testimonials given by independent guest speakers invited to relay their personal testimonies, beliefs, or opinions on Pain SA's live show or posts. Hey, welcome, guys. Can the two viewers that's on now just confirm for me if this live stream, if the sound is right? I know I've been having some problems the past couple of days with sound and connections and lights and all of that, but let's not talk about all of that right now. Steve, welcome, man. Where in Australia are you from?
Hey, Dominic. I'm in a place called Service Paradise, Gold Coast, Australia. East Coast, about just above midway.
Right, and from the little pre-interview that I've had with you, it seems like uh, l- here's a word of advice, guys. If you think you're running away from South Africa to Australia and you're gonna have different problems over there, think again. Steve, don't you want to tell us? Just take us back to a time before you were alienated from your son. What was it like then?
Um, I'd start from the beginning. My ex was an industrial engineer. We had a short relationship. We were separated when she was pregnant, had a baby. We lived together but weren't actually cohabitating. I was with my son for 1 year from when he was 1 year old. I fed him, looked after him, had a secure attachment. That was okay, but after he was 1 year old, she decided to go into public housing and get government subsidies and pension. She got all free legal aid, and she stopped contact. So I was forced to go to court to get some contact, where in court they have it's a federal court, and they have a in-house consultant, so it's a federal government consultant. She's got on the stand and said the father committed extreme domestic violence, but wouldn't admit it, and there was never any domestic violence. The first time I ever heard about domestic violence at all was when the government courts accused me of domestic violence. There was nothing in the ex affidavits. There was nothing in the police records or anything like that. So she got full custody, and we spent 8 years in court. Went all the way to appeals court, which is 3 judges. After 4 years, a psychologist sat down with my ex and did a report on the record on tape, and she admitted there was never any domestic violence. So the courts just ignored that fact that there was never any domestic violence, and also that they claimed that my ex was the primary attachment, which he wouldn't go to willingly. We got that on videotape. Yeah, so the courts are completely corrupt here. They're not interested in facts, laws, or law. They just it's just a money industry. It's worth about $21 billion a year for family law alone. So it's just a scam, it's a fraud here.
Steve, you told me that government aid is pretty good there in Australia when it comes to a mother having sole custody. What's the payment like that?
It's pretty common here. Single mothers here get subsidised housing. They get a pension worth about probably $600 a week. Plus, they get payments from the fathers as well, and they get free legal aid, of course, and a lot of benefits: free hospital, free health.
Wait, so, I need to do a calculation on that quickly. Yeah,
it's a lot. Yes.
$600 a week. Let me just check what it's at now. Forgive me, guys. But hey, I might just try and get pregnant and go to Australia after this.
Let's check. Actually, sorry, that might be $600 a fortnight. So that's $300.
Fortnight.
Probably about $300.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably about $350 a week, maybe. $350. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never been on it myself.
Okay, but $350 a week. So that's 3,800 Rand over here. Okay, do the math, guys. Like Australia might just be the holy grail. Who knows?
It is. It is actually probably the best benefits in the world. Oh no, Sweden's actually pretty good too.
Yeah, but Sweden's also got Sweden's got quite a good policy on parental alienation, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as far as I've seen, you should watch. I think I sent you the link for what's that? Erasing Family. Just watch that documentary, and you'll learn all about Sweden's policy there. Yeah, there you get divorced around your kitchen table, and you sign an agreement, and everything is dealt with amicably. Yeah, we like to use that word amicably, but doesn't work. So, tell me, when was the last time you've seen your son, and what was the reception like? Your son's 12 years old now, right?
Yeah. So I seen him at Christmas time, but we always had a really, really good, solid relationship, really good connection. But like I was saying, our court orders are we get 48 hours a year. That's 8 hours every second month, supervised contact. So we've fought that for 8 years in court, all the way to the appeals court, which is 3 judges. We went before probably 6 judges over 8 years. We're pretty much in court every year. They weren't even abiding by those orders as well. So again, you're up against the government lawyers.
Wait a minute. 8 years. 8 years for what? Like, why? That domestic violence charge that you had against you, what happened to that?
There was never any charge. It was just we were accused by the court, the federal court, of extreme domestic violence, but there never was any. There's nothing in the affidavits, the ex or police records, or anything like that. But they just make out an excuse why she gets full custody and why she's to justify all the benefits and the housing that she's getting. They have to justify it, so they accuse you of something.
But surely, if it has been proven that you weren't guilty of it, they should relook at the case. Is it not so?
No, perjury in Australian courts is not punishable, or technically is under the law, but they don't. So perjury is standard practice for lawyers and judges in Australia.
Okay, yeah, seems to be that
You go
way.
to court,
Is it
and yeah,
is that just for men or both women and men?
no, it's all courts. It doesn't matter what case you go to. The judges and the lawyers will just commit perjury, and then they'll make up allegations, accusations, and then to justify their rulings.
Well, same here. The more and more I speak to you, I find Australia is exactly the same as South Africa.
It's same all I talk to. It's exactly the same thing.
Uh, how many court appearances have you had so far, and how much money have you spent over the years? If you could put a number to it, I know it's hard.
Yeah, we've pretty much been in court for 8 years, probably once a year, so it's 8 court appearances. Had lawyers and stuff like that. It doesn't help unless your lawyer knows the judge. It's just ruled by fear and favour. So there's no rule of law at all.
And what effect do you think that this has had on your son?
Well, the effects on kids it's having globally is detrimental for sure, because instead of getting a nice 50-50 shared care where they get experience with both parents, they're just getting used pretty much by the system to make money for lawyers. So he gets bored by himself, so he likes to come to be with me because we actually do stuff. Otherwise, he'd be just sitting at home in his room. So it's not much of a life for him. And it does have a devastating effect on kids.
Have you seen any change in his behavior over the years?
He behaves pretty well with me. I don't know what he's like when he's not here, though.
Well, you're a lucky man. There must have been something that you have done over these years. I mean, eight times a year is hardly any time with your son, really. But what type of things do you do with him when you are with him?
Now we do pretty much everything. We live next to the beach, so he's starting to get into surfing and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. Right. I don't know if I'll be able to move to the beach and provide that for my daughter, but I know we used to like going. Well, we did everything, even if it's just chilling and watching movies. We enjoyed our time, but that comes to an end very quickly. In the past 8 to 12 years, have you had any wins? And you mentioned something that's happening in the next 6 months that may change everything. What is that?
With the courts and the government, no win at all. The only win you have is because you have such a good attachment with my son. But now that once he turns 13, he pretty much will vote with his feet. The courts can't really stop him or have much influence over him anymore.
Okay, so he gets to make some decisions of his own now.
Yeah, once he's 13, he makes his own decisions.
Okay. What do you think his decision would be? Or what do you hope that would be?
Well, pretty much he wants to spend all his holidays, school holidays, that with me. So try and work that in.
What effect has this had on you over the past 12 years?
Oh, just massive, just fighting the government for 12 years, yeah.
Mental health effects? How has it affected?
A lot of strain, definitely. A lot of strain. You get, what is it? Post-trauma.
Yeah, PTSD.
PTSD. Yeah, you get that for sure. Everyone gets that. Here, you get a lot of suicides here from fathers going through family courts.
Really?
Because what happens here is you go to court. They go to court to get contact with their kids, and they mightn't have any cash on them. So the lawyers say, sign over your house to us, and we'll fight this in court for you. And so what a lot of fathers, what happens is they go to court and they spend years in court. And as soon as they run out of money, the lawyers take their houses, and they never get to see their kids again. So they lose everything and they lose
Wow.
the kids at the same time. So I've talked to so many dads here that's happened to them. They sign over everything to their lawyers, and they spend 4 years in court and never see the kids again. Lose everything.
So, in your opinion, what's the main problem here?
You're talking dysfunction. You're talking antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. It's complete dysfunction, and a lot of it's in the government. So if you look at the DSM-5 and look up narcissistic personality disorder, which is what MPD, and then APD. There's borderline personality as well. It's called Cluster B. They've got 3 clusters in the psychiatrist book. You've got Cluster A, B, C. Cluster A is like delusional. B is all your narcissistic personality disorder, and C you got your schizophrenics and stuff like that. But it goes through history, and it is global, and that's what's actually behind a lot of these governments and courts and stuff like that. It's just completely dysfunctional.
Right. So it just comes down to mental health issues again.
Yeah, very much. So you've got to work out which partner's the problem, who's the dysfunctional one. And for sure, the courts are dysfunctional. The government's dysfunctional. Look how many dysfunctional governments there are around the world. And it's even in democracies like in Australia, we've still got a lot of these dysfunctional types in government.
What would your proposed solution be to this? If you were president of in Australia, or you had some sort of influence, what would you do?
Well, yeah, the way it should be working is what happened to us, once we proved there was perjury by the government in the federal court relating to the case, went to our federal members. So you've got state parliament and federal parliament, and we've got senators as well. So I went to all those, took the evidence to them, and of course, they just ignore it. Right? Their job is to represent you in government, and once you go to them with government corruption, they're supposed to give you remedy and resolution. So they don't do that. So it's complete dysfunctional governments. We've got 2 main parties here. It's ALP, LNP. ALP is like a communist, so they're deliberately trying to destroy the country. And then you got LNP, sorry, that are under allegations of having pedophile rings and running this sort of thing, scams in court. And even one of the former prime ministers is under allegations of being part of a pedophile ring. So that's been going on for like decades. But the government, they've been in government for 10 years, and they ordered that all these police records alleging these pedophile rings be sealed for 90 years. So this is including judges and parliamentarians. And so, yeah, it's serious corruption in Australia. So, of course, you go to the government with allegations of corruption and they come after you.
Well, let's hope they don't come after you after the show.
No, well, they've been coming after me for a long time.
So you're used to it?
Yeah, well, they've tried to put me in prison 4 times.
Jeez. For the domestic violence thing, or what?
No. For going after the government.
Wow.
So we tried to start a political party here, and they wouldn't allow it. So, it's completely a lawless country at the moment. It has been for decades. The government doesn't abide by the rule of law at all. So we've got 3 branches of government. We've got the judiciary, we've got the executive government, which is the police and the army, and we've got the parliamentarians. They're supposed to be separate, and they're supposed to keep an eye on each other. We work under a system called responsible government. Unfortunately, what happens is the parliamentarians, they pick the governor generals and the chief justices, so they pretty much control everything anyway.
Jeez. Okay. So
That's happened in Canada as well. I've got friends in Canada that got the same problems. Parliamentarians just don't work. So even if you prove your case of government corruption, yeah, the government won't fix it. They'll come after you.
And well, I hate the show being all doom and gloom. So there must be some solutions.
The solution's going to be pretty much all these government administrative jobs will be gone within 10 years. It's going to be completely automated by artificial intelligence. General AI is coming within about 10 years. So it's going to just completely wipe out all the administrative jobs in government. So even now, there's places in Europe that minor courts, like small claims courts, are run by AI.
Okay.
There's a lot of AI programs coming on board now to deal with courts, especially in the USA. They've got some AI programs. One, I think the main one is called Ross. But yeah, in 10 years' time, the whole government is going to be automated. So it's going to be a lot different. It's going to take out all this dysfunction. All these dysfunctional people just won't have jobs.
Let me check that out quickly. There, you said it's. I just want to bring it up on screen. And from the research that you've done, it's the first time I hear that AI is going to be brought in terms of is this judging cases?
Yeah, in I think there might be small European country. They're using AI to do small claims court. It's coming on more and more. The people are developing AI to do administration jobs in government.
Okay, and you said what was that system called? RAS.
Ross, ROSS. Just go Ross Law. Google Ross Law. It should come up.
RAS law. Let me just share my screen here quickly. Maybe you can help me with that. So is that right?
Here we go. Ross Intelligent Legal Tech Corner.
This one. Oh, are you sending a link?
Oh yeah.
Send it in the private
Ross
chat.
Intelligent Access to Ross Intelligent shutdown. No, that's not it. Yeah, I'll show you a link. I think there's more. But there's more and more programs coming online. Ross Intelligence. Oh, that might be it.
Okay. Let's get this out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
looks like it. Yeah, that's Ross. This is more a search program at the moment, but there's more and more coming on.
And just tell us briefly, like what does the system entail? What type of cases does it handle, and how accurately can it?
This is North American, so we don't get to use it here. I think it's more of a search engine for a legal search engine, legal research. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'll look more into that. But yeah, these are the types of solutions that we actually need.
Yeah, this is what's coming.
And yeah, it's again about people knowing their rights, fathers especially.
Yeah, here the system's so broken that the government just they don't recognise the law, rule of law, facts, rules of law. It's meaningless in court here.
Yeah. So, Steve, that is pretty much the I would say the end of the interview. There's this one last question I've got here. Then we'll open up for questions from the viewers. We've discussed this briefly before the interview. So, what is a narcissist's worst fear, and how can you fight back against them? Since we've established that, yeah, we've established that mostly it's personality disorders. I mean, no normal person would keep a child from having a relationship with another parent, with the other parent. So yeah, how do you fight back?
Well, the thing is, you got to recognize that these dysfunctional people, narcissists and psychopaths, sociopaths, whatever, pedophiles, they're completely dysfunctional. With the narcissists and psychopaths, particularly, they've got no conscience developed to raise kids and be a parent, parenting and stuff like that. So with the narcissists and psychopaths, it's all about control, and it comes down to fear. They fear not to have the control over other people. So and that's what's happening in governments. You look at these crazy governments around the world, Saddam Hussein, stuff like that. They get control of the country, and there's classes of them. There's like whole political parties just full of them. Same happening in Nazi Germany. It's happening again and again and again. And it's what people have got to really learn is the DSM-5, what's a narcissist, what's a psychopath, and that's what you're really dealing with. And once you can study the DSM-5 and their personality traits, you can actually learn to deal with it. But they're driven by fear.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I also done quite a lot of research, and I mean, just you can go on YouTube and find tons of information about these three personality disorder types. Do you know what the difference is between sociopaths and psychopaths, though?
Sociopaths, just a different scale from a psychopath. Psychopath is when they start killing. And sociopath is like your car thief and stuff like that.
Well, I've actually found a interesting. Sorry, I found an interesting YouTube video from, I don't know if you follow Dr. Ramani, but she's always talking about these personality disorders, how to work with narcissistic parents and so forth. But she broke down a nice one here. Let me see if I can find that video quickly. So she says that narcissists, the difference between a narcissist, a sociopath, and a psychopath is not much different. The narcissist does they do things and hope that you don't get hurt. The sociopath does things because they want you to get hurt, and the psychopath, well, same thing there, and they to the extreme. But the only difference between a sociopath and a psychopath is that a sociopath is made so they can learn those traits. They're not born
Okay.
that way,
Yeah.
and the psychopath is born that way.
Yeah. Okay. So the psychopath is genetic, narcissist is genetic, and sociopath is more borderline personality disorder. So you
Yeah.
got four things in cluster B's. You got the borderline personality disorder, hystonic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. So yeah, narcissists and psychopaths are pretty much genetic, and borderline is probably a sociopath. Learned
Yeah.
traits.
So it is extremely important. I just want to share the screen again here. I'm not going to play the video, but this is the video that I watched, and it actually, well, this is the longer version. There's a shorter version of it. I'm going to share this link here in the description. Sorry, in the comments, and you guys are free to actually check that out. We've got Brad here saying it's pretty much the same in SA. Yes, it is, Brad. uh, no difference. That's why I said in the beginning of this show that, you know, uh, if you're thinking of going to Australia, thinking that there's a better life there, just bear in mind that the justice system is almost the same, if not exactly the same, if not worse. I don't know
Same in
anymore.
USA as well. USA, it's Europe, it's all the same. Actually, in Japan, it's a bit different. The mother gets full custody straight away, and she doesn't have to share do anything. So it's an automatic in Japan that they get full custody.
Wow.
Mm.
I'm going to open up for questions, guys. Are there any questions? What I am going to do, I think I'll actually just play this video here quickly. I think it's very relevant. It's extremely relevant to what we've been speaking about here. and we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll open up for questions if there are any. Comment below, and I'll bring them up on screen as soon as we are back. Sorry, I just wanna confirm. Can you guys hear the sound?
No, you got on mute, Dominic.
Is can you guys hear the sound of the video?
No.
Not. All right. Let me just fix that quickly. My bad. I thought as much. System audio. There we go. Okay. Steve, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
Them to remember right off the bat. Every psychopath is narcissistic, but not every narcissist is psychopathic. Make sense? There's your key difference. A narcissist is somebody who lacks empathy, is grandiose, is entitled, is constantly seeking validation, is arrogant. It's a disorder of self-esteem, and they have trouble regulating their self-esteem. But when a narcissist does a bad thing, they feel a fair amount of guilt and shame. More shame than guilt, frankly, because they're concerned about how other people view them. Shame is a public emotion. So they don't like being viewed negatively in the public eye or by other people. That's where the shame comes from. But they'll feel a little bad. Like if they cheat on their wife, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Psychopath's a different animal. They're all of those things except no guilt, no shame. Wow. They don't feel remorse when they do something bad. Wow. So they're great serial killers. Oh. Hired assassins, people who are going to go in and literally sort of gut a business. These are your guys. They're like, I don't care who gets hurt. They'd say that and they'd mean it. Okay, where a narcissist is like, I hope no one gets hurt. Okay. The difference between the psychopath and the sociopath is the one where most people get confused, because the sociopath is a lot like the psychopath. They do bad things and they don't care. Okay. Here's the key difference. A psychopath is born and a sociopath is made. Okay, that's the key. So a psychopath, in fact, we know in the research on psychopathy, which has also been called antisocial personality disorder in our diagnostic manual, these are people who are actually believed to have slightly different autonomic nervous systems. Our autonomic nervous system is actually that part that holds our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight and flight system. So when our autonomic nervous system for a normal person gets charged up, which it would if we broke a rule, if we did something embarrassing or rude, if we ran through a red light, our heart starts racing. Mm-hmm. We sweat, our pupils get wide, we look around because we're afraid of the consequence. A psychopath doesn't have that same kind of arousal. That's why they're able to lie on lie detector tests. That's how they get away with it. They don't have that same kind of arousal. So where you or I may go on a roller coaster, feel that sense of excitement, we need to get that arousal in a good way. We don't like feeling it when we do something wrong. They don't feel it.
So do they get stressed?
No, not in the same way.
So if they're driving, because if I'm driving and I see police sirens coming behind me, I mean, it is a full on, my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to get pulled over. But a psychopath would see that and go, oh, I'm going to get pulled over.
Well, this could be. They could have a dead body in the trunk and they wouldn't.
And so they pull over, they get the ticket and they don't care.
No, they don't care.
And they pay the ticket?
And maybe not. They'll even probably get an attorney to get them off or say, yeah, you know, my understanding of your state laws is you can't really be doing this. And they'll be cool as can be.
And this is a difference in their
They're actually
their
how
makeup.
their nervous systems are wired and their brains are. There's actually been interesting research done with PET scans where you can see brain function. And what
not just the clarification, not PET like dogs and cats, PET scans.
Positron emission tomography scans of the brain, which show brain functioning, if you will. And what they see is that the the section of the brain that serves empathy, that doesn't naturally light up in them. And you can actually teach them to be empathic for a minute, but it doesn't last. A lot of psychopaths who commit violent crimes end up in jail. And the ones who commit more like white collar crimes, I guess they end up as multi-billionaires because they're willing to do really, really rough stuff in their business and get through like a cartel leader or something like that. Call for the killings of other people. Now, their interesting counterpart are the sociopaths. Psychopaths born, they tend to, their belief is that they may very well have, this might be genetic. In fact, psychopaths often have fathers who have lots of antisocial tendencies. Now, how much of it is learned, how much of it is genetic, it's a little bit harder to suss out. But we do see that there is that difference in your true psychopath. They also tend to have really glib, shallow charm. They tend to be really intelligent. That's why they get away with stuff. If they were,
so they've learned behavior to assimilate into society.
Oh yeah.
But it's all a facade.
It's all a facade. They're so charming.
So if they're born this way, would a 3-year-old then not get stressed out if it got scared? So that's incredible.
So what we see when we diagnose antisocial personality disorder, which is sort of our diagnostic equivalent to being a psychopath, in order to get that diagnosis, you have to have shown a pattern prior to the age of 15 of things like truancy, violence towards other kids, stealing, skipping school.
And not felt bad about it.
Setting fires. They just do it. They don't care. And that before the age of 15. So it's a long-standing.
All right. Welcome back, guys. I hope that was informative. I know that, these videos from Dr. Ramani does help me a lot. Just try and figure out how to deal with people better, just as a whole. After watching these videos, though, I tend to see these behaviors more. I don't know if that happens.
Yeah. Once you start seeing it, you'll see it more and more. And you'll see it in yourself as well. You can actually correct yourself if you're being antisocial. That's the whole thing about this platform you're doing now, Dominic. This is a social setting. This is good. This is the interaction between people.
Yes.
And it's bringing out the social people, and rather than the antisocial types.
So a sociopath won't come on the show. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, probably. A narcissist will just argue with you the whole time and say you're wrong about everything. Okay, that's a typical narcissist. And you'll see that a lot, especially in Father's Group. You'll get one guy in there who will just disagree with everything you say and just fight you the whole way. That's a narcissist.
Okay. Otherwise known as a troll. Otherwise known as a troll.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah. I block a lot of trolls.
Right. Now I kind of like the trolls. But they don't argue long enough with me. That's the problem.
Oh, really?
I love bringing things out in the open. Like I don't have anything to hide, and the wrong that I have done in my life, I think I have paid for over and over and over again. There's nothing I've got shame about. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing about humans. It's human to error, but humans will correct their errors. All right?
Yes.
Narcissists and psychopaths won't. They'll just argue and argue. They'll always put the blame back on the victim.
Yes.
The courts do. They blame the victim. The courts victimize people and say it's the victim's fault. They look for excuses why they're actually making rules and orders against the victim.
Yeah. So it's your fault. It's your fault you got PTSD.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Right. So I didn't get any questions or comments from anyone today. We are going to, I think we're going to end off tonight. Derek, I'm sorry. Did I just call you Derek? Sorry. I was looking at this. This comment there. So I called you Derek. Steve.
Hey, Derek.
So thanks for coming on, Steve. Look, I do hope that in the next 6 months, your son gets to make the right decision. As you mentioned, you've always had a good relationship with him, so I'm sure he will. And do you have any tips for parents to maintain that relationship?
Well, just do as much contact as you can. But what you've got to think of is kids are going to grow up and they're going to start voting with their feet. So you don't want to spend all your money in court. You don't want to sell your house, give your house to lawyers and stuff like that. And that's what's happening here. Yeah. Lawyers are just signing people up, sign over your house, and we'll do this in court for you. They lose the kids, lose the house, lose everything. And you got to
Right.
realize this, the courts are a scam. They're not interested in law or cares or truth, facts. They're just interested in making money. Most lawyers are sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, and pedophiles, right? That's
Right.
what they go in. These cluster B types, they go into politics, law, and even media. So you get mainstream media, a lot of psychopaths in there as well. So you've got to prepare yourself for when your kid does start, is going to need you especially when he turns 13, right? And then they can vote with their feet. It's going to need school, it's going to need books and stuff like that. So get your financials sorted out. Don't waste your money in court.
Right.
Self-represent if you can, and just skim through that 10 years, do your best you can. Stay fit, healthy, don't stress out too much. And when your kids grow up and they're 15, they're going to be there. You've got to be there for them. And they're going to need money and support, all that sort of stuff. But in the meantime, build your business and also get into politics, right? Because we need good people in government, and that's what we're getting. We're getting all the bad people in government. Once they get in government, they get rid of the good people out of necessity, right? So that's why you get bad governments, because all the bad people get in there and they just throw out all the good people. So you've got to get into politics. You start by, even if you, best if you actually become a candidate in your local electorate, state and federal, but get into politics, get into business, look after yourself, and start networking between people like us here now.
Yeah.
And these platforms are growing more and more, so we're going to start networking more. We just got to take back the government.
Yeah, and take back our lives.
Yeah, understand what you're up against. You're up against, for intents and purposes, narcissists and psychopaths. They're different species, right? They're genetically different. They completely function differently. So yeah, just take back your government.
It was interesting speaking to you, Steve. I must say, straightforward views. It's probably what's on a lot of people's minds, but they're too scared to speak out about it. But yeah, I agree completely, especially on, 2 years ago. All right, I'm gonna make a confession. Yeah, I've never voted in my life up until last year.
Yeah, well, you should be Prime Minister, Dominic. We'll put you up as Prime Minister. We'll get some posters up, Dominic, for Prime Minister.
Well, that would be awesome. I think I think I'd do a good job, better than what they.
That's the thing. People with a conscience, they care about their kids, right?
Yeah.
And they're the people we need in government. People with conscience and caring, and that's what we don't have globally.
Yeah. It's fine saying you need to stop making decisions with emotion, but there's a fine line. You need to have emotion and logic to make a good decision. That's what I believe.
Yeah, you need both sides of the brain.
You need both.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, if you guys would like me to run for president, hit the like button there.
Yeah, I'll vote for you, Dominic.
That would be something else. I think I can handle the stress. I mean, my entire life has been just mostly uphill, so I know how to handle the problems.
Yeah, you got your media platform going, get your business going, and then start campaigning as a local, state, federal member. Get into politics.
Yeah. Okay. I promise that's the next step. Steve, if you don't mind just staying on for me, I just want to, I'm going to end off the show now. Just a few words afterwards I want to have with you. If you have any comments or questions for Steve, please leave them in the comments. We will be reading them. If you'd like Steve to come on again and just speak about, look, this is a worldwide problem. We're always going to have this problem if we don't start creating awareness about it. And this is the plan. It's creating awareness first, and then moving into educating people, and then taking massive action. Okay. We can only do that if you help spread this message. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Right, it does help the channel grow. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that like button, share this message. And anything else you want to add on there, Steve, before we end off?
Just leave my link from Facebook there if anyone wants to get in touch.
Okay, just drop it in the comments there, and I'll I'll add it to the description after this.
Sure.
All right. Awesome.
We're
Thanks
going to
again
start
for
networking, get people working together, start taking back our government. It's all about taking back the government.
Absolutely. Well, there we go, guys. Leave your comments. What do you think is the solution, the main thing standing in the way, and how we can solve it? Okay. And let me know what you guys would like to talk about on the next show. I know I do have an interview again on Thursday. So tomorrow I want to go live, and I want to know what's the hot topic for you regarding parental alienation. What's the one thing standing in the way of you having access to your kids again? Okay, leave it in the comments. We'll talk about that tomorrow. On that note, I'm out. Have a good evening, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.